I picked up this America board at Hobby Lobby. It was 66% off. I believe I got it for $7. And guys, with the price of wood right now, this is the way you're going to want to try to buy. So I'm going to be flipping around and using the back, taking off the hangers and putting some wood putty in the holes. Allowing that to dry. Then I'm going to paint it with Wise Owl Black using a foam brush. You can get these foam brushes at most True Values, Ace Hardware, and they're Gen foam brushes. And you can get a few uses out of them, and they're just $1 or $2. Once dry, I measured down, I want to say that was about 5 inches. I really can't remember what the measurement's down, but you want to make sure your tape is straight. And I went down just a small way down, and then I started to create stripes using the painter's tape and moving them over every other. And this just gives you some pretty straight, even stripes without having to do much effort. I'm going to be using Wise Owl Snow Owl and a foam brush that I picked up at Lowe's. They're 4-inch Whiz foam rollers. I'm going to paint over the striped area. I did apply 2 coats and then remove the tape. I've had these stars a long time, but they still are available at Hobby Lobby. They're from Show Off, and they're pretty inexpensive. I want to say $4. They've probably seen their last day, these ones here, but I'm going to do 3 rows of the stars, using the blow dryer in between so I can relay down the stencil. Now I'm just using a foam dabber, and the key with stenciling is you just want to use a little bit of paint. It's almost very dry. You almost want an airbrush look. I think people use too much paint and they get that bleed through and they feel unsuccessful. I'm not worried about full coverage. I just want a nice soft star. Now, after everything's dry, I'm going to cover it with 1 hour enamel clear and allow that to dry. And it does dry in an hour. I'm applying this with my 1.5-inch angle Wise Owl paintbrush. All the Wise Owl products can be found at chalkitupfancy.com. Today I'm going to be using Sunflower Afternoon. This too can be found at Chalk It Up Fancy, and it's a smaller transfer, and these are the 3 panels that are available. And I'm also going to be using Faith, Love, or Hope Faith Mesh Stencil from a Maker Studio. This too can be found at chalkitupfancy.com. And I'm going to be using the Faith and the Hope portion. And it's easier for me to just cut them in 2. And I chose the second black stripe in, and I'm going to lay the Faith going one way and the Hope just above it going the opposite direction. You just want to rub your hand across your mesh stencil before you proceed and just make sure it's making contact with your project. I'm going to be using our gel ink Can't Never Could, which is the black, and Well I Declare, which is the white. I'm going to put it just a little bit amount on my paper plate here. And I'm going to be using my Redesigned by Prima rubber spreader. And I'm going to try to focus on getting the white in the black stripe and then the black in the white stripes. I thought this was going to be harder than it actually was. It really was not difficult. Now, one tip with the mesh stencils is you want to make sure you add a nice pressure to push that paint through. And I try really hard not to backtrack I try to do it right the first time. Obviously, if you missed a spot, you do want to go back and fill in that mesh. But I try to really put the pressure on and get it in the first wipe. Because I do notice if you go back and keep pushing paint in, you will get bleed through, which is very difficult to do, but that's just a little tip. And this came out pretty good. I just wanted to connect the two now. And I just took a art brush to connect the two with the white ink. Now I'm going to want that to dry. I'm using the stem portion of Sunflower Afternoon. I'm cutting that out. And I'm going to connect my sunflower stem to the faith and the hope and continue that up the board. This does come with a little wooden stick, and I'm almost holding it like a pencil because it's a very small area that we're scraping and we don't want to ruin our paint on the other side of that. And now I'm just going to kind of rub. Now, as you start to see it lifting, you do want to kind of put your hand on it so it doesn't move, because this is a small image now. We don't have a big image. And once this lifts, that top coat is just going to slide. So now I know it's lifting. I'm going to grab a hold of it and just try to keep control. And then I'm going to choose the large sunflower and just put that at the top. And again, using my stick, I'm going to just rub and rub until I start to see it to lift. I try to work the corners well first, the edges, because that's where you're going to want to lift it first. And if you go to lift it and you see that something didn't adhere, lay it back down and just continue to rub. But these came off pretty easily. Now you want to burnish it with a towel. I just use a paper towel, and I'm going to rub it down and just make sure it's all adhered to my board. I'm going to allow this to dry for 24 hours, and then I'm going to add another coat of the 1 hour enamel clear. I really hope you enjoyed this video. For other tutorials, go check us out on YouTube. You can now watch all our videos at chalkitofancy.com. For any paint products, tissue paper transfers, or mesh stencils, chalkitofancy.com. Thank you so much. Have a great day.